Both of us would like to wish the Lionesses luck tonight. We're cheering you on because you've performed so well in the tournament. I wish you luck. I wish you luck. Goodbye. Goodbye. In the midst of centuries, old customs, and the icy shine of the throne, there came a moment that silenced the whole British royal family and a whole country. No crown was necessary for a young princess to win over even the most heartless people. A silent look, a head stoop, and a single tear that falls during a somber burial. It was more than just a picture of childhood. It was the mark of a new generation, one that possesses a resilient compassion, a soft courage, and an unseen desire to alter the way the world perceives power. Altered the way the world perceives power. Will Princess Charlotte, the young lady who is carrying the burden of history's scrutiny, just be another heir to the throne? Or will she end up representing transformation for the future of England? Moments like these are where that journey starts. Little quiet, but so strong that the entire world can't turn away. Princess Charlotte Elizabeth Diana was born at London St. Mary's Hospital on May 2, 2015. Not just her family, but the entire country welcomed her. The birth was unexpectedly quick. Charlotte cried for the first time just 2 hours after the Duchess of Catherine was admitted. The gathering outside the hospital hardly had time to settle in as word spread so quickly. She picked her name carefully. Diana is a remembrance of the Princess of Wales, the mother who left a legacy firmly ingrained in the fabric of Britain. Charlotte is an homage to her grandpa, now King Charles III, and Elizabeth is a love and respect tribute to Queen Elizabeth II. Charlotte was positioned at the heart of a family legacy full of expectations and symbols from the moment she breathed. Charlotte's birth announcement was printed formally and put on a gilded easel outside Buckingham Palace, as was customary. Even in the era of modern media, a centuries-old royal custom has been maintained. Millions of people shared her first snapshot, which was taken by Duchess Kate herself and featured her older brother George in a matter of hours. It was no coincidence that she was in that position. After her brother Prince George and father Prince William, Charlotte is third in line for the British crown. It's more than just a number. It is evidence that she is squarely in the center of the royal future. More significantly, Charlotte represents a silent moment in history. English succession laws used to favor sons. An older sister could be surpassed by a son born later. Queen Elizabeth II, however, issued an order to alter that, beginning with Charlotte's generation. The order of inheritance would no longer be determined by gender. In the history of the Windsor dynasty, Charlotte is the first child to be born with that equality. Her mere presence was a turning point, a silent but permanent change. At a newborn's first breath, not on a throne, tradition and modernity came together. Charlotte will be a live reminder of the time when the British monarchy decided to adapt in order to survive, whether or not she ends up on the throne. And that is what makes her an indispensable character in the 21st century's narrative, more than any title or wealth. Love is typically concealed behind protocol in a household where children are frequently burdened by tradition. Queen Elizabeth II, however, made a different decision for Princess Charlotte, silent but profoundly so. People noticed Charlotte before she could walk. To the Queen, she was more than a mere member of the family. The most unique granddaughter was Charlotte. The infant was thought to be the future heir to the very values the Queen had dedicated her life to preserving: calmness, fortitude, and a commitment to one's heritage. Despite her youth, Charlotte was always given a prominent position at important royal festivities. Not Louis, not George. In official family photos, Charlotte was frequently positioned closest to the Queen, an implicit decision that is understandable. The Queen observed a subdued but consistent continuation in Charlotte. It wasn't only glances or photo arrangements that conveyed that devotion. The Queen made private changes to her will prior to her death. She bequeathed to Charlotte her whole collection of precious jewelry, valued at about $110 million. One of them was the famous Spencer tiara, which was once inextricably linked to William's mother, Princess Diana. It wasn't merely a nod to the past when Charlotte was given that crown. The Queen used it to convey a powerful message: have the guts to write a new chapter while preserving the memory. The Queen deviated from the centuries-old royal fashion traditions of wearing somber black, gray, and navy blue to welcome Charlotte into the world by donning a vibrant pink outfit. Initially used as a subdued statement, pink is typically regarded as being too delicate and informal for royal occasions. The future might be kinder and warmer. Since then, the public's perception of Charlotte has been associated with the color pink, soft, glowing, but resolutely powerful. Charlotte was given something uncommon, unconditional love, in the icy realm of thrones and power, and as she develops under the harsh scrutiny of the world, that unseen talent will serve as her shield more than any crown or wealth. Princess Charlotte has demonstrated from an early age that she is more than just a child of royalty. She exudes resilience and responsibility with every stride she takes. These are traits that are impossible to fake and most definitely cannot be coerced. First. In front of hundreds of cameras, Charlotte boldly reached out to shake the hand of the Archbishop of Canterbury at the age of 3 during Prince Louis's baptism. A confident look, a solid handshake, and no hesitancy or timidity. Her unusual elegance for her age more than her innocence was what attracted the public's attention at that precise moment. Charlotte took it a step further at the Chelsea Flower Show. She stopped clinging to her mom. No prodding is required. Thud. As though it were the world she was destined to live in, she engaged with the public, watched, and asked questions. The confidence was not coerced. It was the serene confidence of a spirit nourished by affection and directed by a firm but gentle education. Few are aware that Charlotte was formally trained in royal etiquette from the age of 4. How to stand, bow, and act appropriately at formal gatherings. She picked things up so fast that she frequently reminded her younger brother Louis and older brother George to behave better in public. Order was subtly restored with gentle touches and whispered words. No reprimands or showiness. At significant occasions like the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, these moments were repeated. Little Louis became agitated and fidgety, but Charlotte sat up straight, her eyes steady, and she used a tiny gesture to gently guide her brother. People started referring to her as the next generation's keeper of order, which is a difficult title to obtain. Then came Queen Elizabeth II burial, where Charlotte, in somber black, lowered her head in silence as the casket went by. A single bow, a gaze of regretful resolution, and then a tear flowing silently. No cries, no terror. Britain as a whole held its breath. There was no need for an explanation. At the age of 7, Charlotte bore the burden of tradition, not via rituals or oaths, but through a heart that understood how to remember, grieve, and go on. Charlotte's path has not been the development of a typical child, from that initial handshake to the final look she gave her great-grandmother. It is the way of a new generation that is composed, strong, and aware of this already. Some legacies are passed down through the ability to persevere through the most trying times, rather than through crowns. Charlotte was not the first person to grow up in the spotlight. She was raised under the watchful eye of a father who had previously experienced the sorrow of losing the most significant thing in life at a young age, too young to fully comprehend the magnitude of that loss. Princess Diana lost her life in a tragic automobile accident in Paris in 1997. William was only 15. The teenage lad had to listen to the icy murmurs of escorts that night in order to learn about his mother's passing. Days later, as the world watched, William and Harry were made to go out in front of the cameras and bow their heads in front of their mother's coffin. No trembling, no tears. William received his first instruction at that very moment. Even sorrow has to be concealed in the royal family. However, the cost of that suppression was a lonely youth. William was never really asked how he felt. Nobody actually let him collapse. William developed a survival instinct while growing up in a frigid environment, avoiding, keeping quiet, and creating a resilient shell. Everything changed with the arrival of Charlotte. Not right away, not with lofty promises. Small gestures like holding hands in a crowd of people, bending down to meet his daughter eye level, or simply nodding quietly in lieu of giving an order were what brought about the transformation. A daughter was not all that Charlotte was. She was the opportunity that history had previously denied him. To grant the innocence of a child, not to force her to present a flawless image to the media, not to turn her into a symbol before she is mature enough to comprehend the significance of her role, but to protect her, to go with her. Should let Charlotte and her brothers to mature in their love before taking on responsibilities. At the Queen's burial, Charlotte's confident handshake, gentle bow, and steady step are all evidence of more than simply the young girl's inner fortitude. They provide as evidence that William ended the cycle. He made a different decision for the following generation, one in which offspring of royalty are adored before being asked to represent a country. Charlotte is maturing. William is too, a subtle yet inseparable journey of maturation and healing that is interwoven. It is already a burden to be born into royalty. Princess Charlotte, however, experienced that strain more intensely and earlier than others. Charlotte was used to having every gesture and movement examined and evaluated from the first day she appeared in public. A smile, a step forward, a head bow. These reactions were no longer spontaneous. They turned to become standards for evaluating the composure and public persona of a new royal generation. Expectations were always there in the household, but they were never explicitly stated. Cameras caught Charlotte and Queen Consort Camilla exchanging a chilly look as they got out of the car for Queen Elizabeth II burial. No declarations or affirmations were made. However, it was clear in that atmosphere how far the old guard stood from a new royal presence. When Charlotte was openly expected to inherit a substantial personal fortune worth almost £9 billion, which included jewelry, real estate, and shares in royal investment funds, the pressure increased. The UK was not the only place where this information disseminated. From that moment onward, Charlotte was not the object of mere awe or interest. It carried comparison, anticipation, and even jealousy. Things that even adults found difficult to bear. Charlotte, who was only 7 years old, had to learn how to maintain her composure in the face of criticism. No right to make mistakes like every other youngster, no immunity from childhood. Charlotte exhibited an uncommon level of poise in the face of dazzling camera flashes and prying eyes from both inside and outside the palace gates. She moved slowly but steadily, as though every challenge and icy gaze were only obstacles that made her stronger. Princess Charlotte, who is 7 years old, is not merely listed as a royal heir. She has transcended that status to become the world's wealthiest child and a recent viral sensation in contemporary Britain. Charlotte's estimated net worth is currently over $5 billion, or $3.6 billion, according to published financial studies. This is significantly more than her younger brother, Prince Louis, and older brother, Prince George. In addition to inherited rights to rare jewelry, real land, and royal assets, this riches also stems from what is now referred to as the Charlotte effect, a powerful commercial force. Any item Charlotte wears when she makes an appearance, whether it's the yellow cardigan in her second birthday photo or the tiny Alice London floral dress she wore when visiting her newborn brother in the hospital, sells out in less than a day. All it takes is one picture, no PR campaign, and the consumer market is immediately agitated. Even more amazing is the fact that Charlotte's worth goes beyond money. She has an innate charisma that transcends media strategy. With only a wave or a self-assured smile, Charlotte stole every headline on Prince George's birthday when everyone was supposed to be focused on him. Whether intentional or not, the British media had to acknowledge that Charlotte had taken center stage. From her naughty tongue-out moment in the car at a royal wedding to her cute waves at the Lindo wing, from the polite bow when receiving flowers in Warsaw to the happy skipping games during a polo event in Berkshire, Charlotte never fails to produce pictures that go viral throughout the world. No effort, no acting. Charlotte's effortless grace and upbeat self-assurance make her the ideal representation of the British monarchy. A fresh emblem, friendly, naive, and yet steeped in heritage. Charlotte's richness goes beyond numbers. She's creating something much bigger, a royal persona that plays, smiles, and engages the audience without compromising authenticity. Charlotte, who is 7 years old, has already demonstrated that the throne isn't always the greatest legacy. It is the capacity to motivate a whole generation. There is more to the Charlotte effect than just shoes or skirts selling out quickly. It reflects a recent development in the way the general public interacts with monarchy. No longer chilly and aloof. In spite of the brilliant spotlight of authority, there's now a sense of intimacy and relatability rather than merely strange rituals. Charlotte's impact extends beyond the children's fashion sector. Public psychology has changed as a result of her, and people now want to see honesty rather than perfection. Every step, grin, and tiny gesture serves as a reminder to the world that royalty is just like any other family. It can be approachable, lighthearted, and go through everyday life. Charlotte's appearance in an item of apparel alone can generate worldwide sales for firms without the need for an advertising campaign. A 7-year-old like Charlotte can do things with ease that A-list superstars require whole marketing teams to do. One wave can be worth more than millions of dollars in advertising, according to experts who have dubbed it a new kind of soft power. However, Charlotte's purchasing power may not be her greatest asset. It's a subdued way to find inspiration for a world in transition. The image of a young princess who is self-assured, happy, and conscious of manners has come to represent the ideal balance between tradition and modernity in a time when the monarchy must change to survive. Charlotte has demonstrated one thing in her own way. Crowns are not the real source of the British monarchy's viability. It resides in the capacity to gently yet profoundly touch people's hearts with every generation. At the age of 7, Charlotte is also creating a new persona of royalty, one that is affluent, strong, and incredibly grounded. Charlotte isn't growing up in luxury and seclusion, despite having a billion-dollar fortune. She was brought up in a modest household by William and Kate from an early age, which is a purposeful, planned, and rather unconventional decision for royals. William and Kate have taken steps to ensure that their kids don't feel like they were born at the finish line. They opted for everyday activities, such as attending football games with large crowds, driving their children to school, and letting them play outside in inclement weather. Charlotte is growing up in the fresh air, surrounded by veggies, muck, and natural dust, rather than behind the walls of Golden Palace. "We grow our own vegetables, beets and carrots, which are the kids' favorites," Kate once said. Even if it's only playing in the sand or digging in the dirt, it's how they pick up life skills. Charlotte has discovered that even the most basic activities may provide happiness, a far more useful lesson than any tangible present. The William family relocated to Adelaide Cottage, a 4-bedroom house in Berkshire, after the summer of 2022. The house has one rule: no full-time employees. Gardeners, nannies, and housekeepers all have set hours and depart after work. After school every afternoon, Charlotte and her siblings head back to a residence where they are alone with their parents. In addition to helping with dinner preparation, setting the table, cleaning up, and handling their own little personal errands, the kids are supposed to participate in daily chores there. Nobody takes care of them, or serves them. William and Kate transform even the most mundane activities into teaching moments. Charlotte loves music, especially Shakira's Waka Waka, and she frequently twirls in a ballet dress, dancing around the kitchen, dragging Louis with her. Prince William once revealed, "Every morning, my kids fight fiercely over which song to play in the kitchen, so I had to make a rule. Each person takes turns choosing. The simplest, happiest times for our family, according to William, were a noisy morning, filled with laughter. When the family gets together in the evenings, the kids follow a predictable schedule just like in any other home. Charlotte likes to read quietly before bed, George likes building blocks, and Louis clings to his favorite teddy bear, Rotiost bear. A palace insider once stated bluntly, "Those children look genuinely happy, largely thanks to the stability and normalcy Kate insists on giving them." William and Kate have always believed that normalcy is the most important foundation. They have no screens, no loud entertainment hours, and only hugs, bedtime stories, and a warm cup of milk to end the day. William once stated bluntly, "Giving kids too many presents only makes them spoiled and hard to handle." In addition to life skills, Charlotte is taught that making mistakes is normal. This attitude is particularly evident in the way William and Kate handle special occasions. No extravagant birthday parties or deluge of expensive gifts. We're human, and mistakes are part of the learning journey, William frequently stresses. Charlotte was taught the value of giving at a young age, and during the COVID-19 pandemic, she joined her parents in making fresh pasta to donate to lonely elderly people, and joined millions of Britons in the Clap for Carers campaign to support frontline healthcare workers. Every stumble is a chance to grow stronger. Charlotte is allowed to try, to fail, and most importantly, to learn how to rise on her own 2 feet. In order to instill genuine compassion in a young royal heart, Kate unexpectedly decided to dress their children in sky blue for significant occasions. This was a small detail, but it sent a clear message: poise, responsibility, and calmness in the middle of the crowd. Charlotte is not being raised to project power. Rather, she is being raised to develop as a real person, to learn how to love, share, be independent, and master herself. Most importantly, Charlotte is being taught that emotions should not be suppressed. Even as a princess, she has the right to feel joy, sadness, and to express her innermost thoughts. William famously remarked, "Even a monarch can be susceptible." But what do you think is the best gift a parent can give a child? A life of plenty or a straightforward upbringing with the freedom to develop, as William and Kate have chosen for Princess Charlotte? And sharing your emotions makes you stronger. In a world where crowns so frequently come with isolation, that lesson may be the greatest gift Charlotte is receiving. Do you agree that these may be the first royal parents to truly show love to their children? Royal children were raised in environments that were dominated by strict rules, private tutors, and nannies for generations prior. If you were a parent, what would you choose for your own child? William and Kate made a different decision. Rather than creating icy walls or transforming George, Charlotte, and Louis's childhood into a textbook of royal protocol, they allowed their children to enjoy the small pleasures of life, such as growing vegetables, cooking meals, laughing over morning song selections, and running and playing together in the rain and sun. Parents, even kings and queens, frequently only appeared in formal roles and were not true companions during childhood. His choice for Charlotte is a quiet revolution. Without dismantling tradition, William and Kate are subtly redefining it. Charlotte and her brothers live in a world where emotions aren't hidden, where mistakes aren't punished, and where love doesn't have to be concealed behind the flash of cameras. In contrast to William's own childhood, where pain had to be silenced and tears were forbidden in public. A monarchy that is not only associated with thrones, but also with actual recollections of contented children who were brought up in an environment of love, liberty, and compassion. Should Charlotte one day take the throne, she will be wearing more than just a crown. She will be carrying with her a full childhood, something that many royal generations before her were never able to experience. What do you think? A crown-wearing Charlotte or a radiant, free-spirited Charlotte of the new century? Let us know in the comments below. Charlotte is growing up under the watchful eyes of the world. She may one day become a queen, or she may decide to write her own path, one of freedom and compassion. But first, let Charlotte enjoy her childhood as it is meant to be, innocent, free, and full. There is a lot more to come, so don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to follow more regular, sincere, and inspirational stories from the royal family.